the set of the instructions which is used to uh, coordinate between the different components of the computer hardware as well as the application software is known as the operating system. So operating system, it is used to perform the coordination in between the hardware function and the interaction between the application software and the computer hardware. As I told you, operating system is the major role of the operating system is to perform the interaction between the hardware as well as the application software. What does this mean? For example, if you are preparing the PowerPoint slideshow, so whenever you write any content in that PowerPoint slide, so obviously we are writing the high level language, that's mean the English, which human can understand easily. Now then how could hardware know what to perform? Okay, because hardware understands only the binary language which is known as the machine language. So there is a middleman, and that is the operating system. So operating system is playing the role as the interaction between the application software and the computer hardware function. So the language is converted into the middle level language, and then from that it is converted into the binary level language. So binary level language, over there the hardware performs the functionality, and then it give backs, and then we user can see it on the screen. So that is with the help of the operating system, right? Now we have traditionally different categories of the operating system. First, we say the single user or the single task operating system. Operating system which is designed only for the single user and to perform the single task, and that is known as the MS-DOS. And I guess you all people are familiar what is MS-DOS. Okay, so this is for the single operating system and for single task. Then we have second one is the again single user, but it for the multitask, and that is known as the Apple's Mac operating system, where a single user can perform multitasking at a time. And then we have the multi users. Okay, and that is the very familiar, and that's window platform, Microsoft Window, where a multiple user can interact in a time. Then the last we have the real-time operating system. Okay, so real-time operating systems are those which are used to find out the measurements instrument. For example, if you want to, or if you want to perform some operation by the hardware, so we are giving the instruction to that hardware. So this one is known as the real-time operating system. For example, if you are plugging your ATM card into the ATM machine and you are giving it the instruction, so on the behalf of all those instructions, that operating system, it performs the function for you, that based on the real-time operating system and other robotics machine as well. Now, what's the real-time operating system? Let's see in the detail. A system with a specific purpose and a certain result. Okay, a system with a specific purpose and a certain result, as I told you about the ATM machine. And same way here in the picture you can see the real-time operating system in your medical field, where you may get the different test and other things as well. And as well as we do have some the computerized vehicle. Okay, so in the car, a lot of the cars, you people can handle them by a computer. And same way the telephone, online telephone or the network telephone which we use, so these are known as the real-time operating system. So it is used in the automobiles, printers, so VoIP, voice on internet protocol phones, which you say that online discussion or online phone conversation, right? And the medical devices, and then the robotic equipments. In these area we use the real-time operating system. Is it clear, student? So let's resume the lecture. So Now the operating system, it performs the five basic operation system. Over here, let us understand with the help of this diagram that it is used to perform the five basic operation system. First, start the computer. Over here you can see a user is starting the computer, then manages applications. Then obviously the system, it is used to manage different application, then manage the memories. Operating system also responsible to manage the memory. Here you can see we are managing the memory. Might be possible from the memory, in this case RAM or the hard disk. Okay, and then handle inputs and the output devices messages. Yes, output device is your printer over there, and as well as the speaker and a person using the keyboard and the mouse as the input devices. Then provides a user interface for the communication. So look here, it is managing different things. Here you can see this person acting like a surgeon, acting like the operating system for you. Now this person is responsible to manage these different activities. He is responsible to manage the printer, as well as the he is responsible to manage to give the user interface to interact with the computer, and then speaker for the output, as well as also responsible the manage the main processor, because the structure the perform jobs coming from the processor, and after getting this, it is responsible to distribute to the concern area, and then also managing the memories, maybe hard disk as well as the RAM. So starting the computer, let's see what are the steps when we start the computers, how the operating system help us in that area. So first we start the BIOS, then we go for the POST, usually power, okay, on test system, and then we have operating system is loaded, and the fourth one system configuration is done, fifth one system utilities loaded, and the finally user is authenticated to get logged into the system. Okay, so now let's see, we are going to discuss one by one all these steps in detail. Okay, first step number one, BIOS. Look students, BIOS mean basic input output system. Whenever you press the button, power button of your computer to start it, you might have seen that uh, mm, black screen comes in front of you. Over there some white text is written, in that case, and that actually loading the BIOS system, right? Instruction into the memory to allow computer to accept the keyboard input and show information on the monitor. Okay, so BIOS, actually what is BIOS? Basic input output system. So these instructions, it gives the instruction and into the memory to allow the computer to accept the input. For example, a user is inserting the input from the keyboard, so who allows you? Actually BIOS allows you, right? And then that sent information by the keyboard seen on the monitor by the user. Again, who is responsible to manage that? Your BIOS system. That's why we say basic input output system. Input is your keyboard, while the output is your monitor where you can see the screen. Now the step number two, after uploading the BIOS, a system goes to check the power on self test. Okay, power on self test, what is that? Actually it confirms that both the computer and its peripheral devices are working properly. Okay, so it when it checks the power on self test, in that test computer is checked itself that computer is working properly or not, and then peripheral devices as well. What do we people mean over here? The peripheral devices, peripheral devices mean all those devices which we connect with the computer, in the case of the external. For example, if you people have plug in your USB, if you people have plug in your printer and speaker and any other external device, so these devices are known as the peripheral devices. So your power on self test is responsible to check all those devices as well, either they are working or not. HIPAA. So Okay, so that is the peripheral devices. Now what if the POST, power on self test, is fail, then what sort of problem we may have in the computer? And these are the problems. One problem, a beep will sound. Might be possible if your system is not working properly. You may have the experience a beep coming from your system, okay, which indicates that we do have some problem in our computer. And second problem, an error message will appear on the monitor. So sometime you might have seen that there an error message, for example, the media device is failure, or your RAM is not detectable, or your hard disk is not detectable. So these sort of the messages we may have on the screen. And the third, the computer will stop. Might be possible you start, after beep beep, then computer will go to the shutdown mode. So these three different failure problems we may face if the POST gets fail. Okay. Okay, so operating system basic function. Now we're talking about the third step. Now after performing the power on self test, we go to the third one, that is known as the load operating system. If the POST test is successful, then the operating system is loaded. Okay, so BIOS looks for the operating system. Obviously, BIOS, basic input output system, they are waiting for the operating system. So BIOS loads into the memory of the kernel, the central part of the operating system. Now here we have a new term. I'm not going to explain this in detail. The computer students, they will study in their higher courses, while others, business and the media students, this is not related for you people. But at this point, kernel, you can say, is the main part of your operating system, right? Or you can say it is acting like the brain of the operating system. So enough here. So, okay, so I'm not going to tell you in detail what is kernel. Now the operating system loads the system configuration information, right? So when operating system is loaded, then it loads the configuration of the system, right? So might be possible when you people might be possible that you have experience when you are starting your computer. So it asks you, please wait while your system is going to be configured, right? So like that message we may have. Okay, so next we have now the fourth one, check the system configuration after uploading the operating system. Now the next step is to check the system configuration. A registry or a database stores information about the software and the peripheral choices. Yes, whatever the devices you have connected in the form of the peripheral, so all the configuration is done. Then the OS checks the configuration for the drivers, utility programs containing the instruction for the proper functioning of the peripheral devices. Okay, in the previous in the past, when we people were connecting the any device, so first we need to install its driver. Okay, driver, a software. But nowadays you don't need to install. When you simply plug in either a new keyboard, either a new mouse, or the CD-ROM, so you don't need to install the driver, because all drivers are by default built in. But it will ask you, please wait for maximum 30 seconds or more than 30 seconds, that your system or the device is going to be configured. So this is in that case. Now the fifth, okay, the OS installs and loads the needed drivers. This is the OS responsibility. Okay, it will itself install and the loads the needed drivers to run the peripheral devices. Now the fifth one is the load system utilities, such as antivirus softwares and speaker volume. Yes, if you people have already installed the antiviruses, so they call the utility softwares. So the after configuration, the utility softwares are uploaded, and as well as the volume of the speakers. Okay, volume control panel already uploaded. And the last one is the authentication to the users. Now everything is okay. Then you might have seen the screen on the window. Over there it is asking you enter your ID as well as the password. So when you insert the relevant ID and the relevant password, then you are authenticated to get logged into the computers. So these are the different 6 steps when we start the computer, which operating system performs. Is there any problem? Okay, so now we proceed further. So now after this 6 1 authentications, so after applying the authentication, आप या तो एक्सेप्ट हो जाएंगे या फिर आप रिजेक्ट हो जाएंगे. तो ऑब्वियसली आप पासवर्ड अपना एंटर करते हैं और प्रोटेक्शन अगेंस्ट द अनऑथोराइज्ड एक्सेस. व्हाई डू वी हैव दिस authentication step? Because we don't want to anyone to get login who is unauthorized person. ठीक है, तो हम उन लोगों को ये अलाउ नहीं करते कि वो इसमें लॉगिन हो जाए जो अनऑथोराइज्ड पीपल है. दैट्स व्हाई वी डू दिस.